Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit North Node, square opposition, or inconjunct one's natal Mars. Now, when we're talking about transits that involve the North Node, it can be about one's future, destiny, mission, purpose, what you're learning and aspiring to be, and where you may be directed to. Now, when transit North Node is basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal Mars. And I'm going to elaborate on it. When I say basically adverse aspect, okay, squares and oppositions, those aspects, of course, are negative and adverse. Now, the inconjunct is neutral, but a neutral aspect can have good and bad qualities in them, coupled with the fact that an inconjunct can often require an adjustment, a transition, and those things can cause some exasperation and tension. So collectively, basically, I do see this as an adverse transit. Now, when you're talking about, again, transit North Node, basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal Mars, well, it may manifest in one's future, destiny, mission, purpose, what you're learning and aspiring to be, where you may be directed to. It may conflict the actions you really want to take. It might be some other actions that you're involved in. If natal Mars is in Scorpio, it might be something with insurance or taxes or will or making a major change or transformation. In that future where you feel you're destined toward, might feel like there's a pull with that, and you need to do one thing, take action in some situation, but yet your future, your destiny is lying somewhere else, and it might cause some exasperation and tension as a result. Now, um, Mars is also about initiative and enterprise. So it could be where this may manifest in having difficulty having the initiative or enterprise going after what the future may hold for you at this time. Or it could be things that you need, to show initiative and enterprise on. Those things might be challenging where the North Node one is where you might feel there's some direction in connection with the North Node, what you might be learning and aspiring to be, and the attributes that may need to be developed, and also issues that may need to be confronted and addressed as well. And anyway, now the thing about it, Mars is also about confrontation, fighting, combat. If you're in some contentious situation at this time, whether it be a marriage partner or something with the family or some open enemy, these are things which might challenge where you need to be directed toward at this time. And it's not it's also too, I mean, the Mars is also connected with our drive and motivation. There may be a lack of drive and motivation in connection with where your future may be, where you feel destined toward at this time. The qualities at this moment in time that may need to be developed, those attributes that may need to be, may need to be developed, and at this point in time. And it can be too, as well, or if there's any issue that needs to be addressed or confronted, there may be difficulty in finding the drive, motivation, and enthusiasm to really take this on, especially, of course, if it's a negative situation, such as if you're dealing with some credit card fraud. Say if the natal North Node is in Scorpio, which I would say could be connected with credit and credit cards. 12th house is fraud and deception. If you have that transit there may be some situation with credit card fraud or insurance fraud at this time that you may be dealing with, or some really maybe hidden, some really surreptitious hidden adversary, some other examples. Mars is also connected with leadership. So it might be a time where you feel your future may not be connected with perhaps leading. If you're in a situation at a job, saying you're in a subordinate or subservient position or role, and somebody's been cajoling you or trying to coax you into being in management or a leadership role, it may be harder for you to take that on at this time because you might not really feel like that's part of your future where you're directed toward. It might even be just simply exhibiting leadership qualities, even in a subordinate or subservient role. Now, anatomically speaking, Mars is connected with the skull, the head, and the face. So, in some cases, if there's, there may be some injury to what I just described, anatomically connected with Mars, that might be maybe derailing your future to some degree, causing difficulty making some progress and moving forward in your life in some manner. It could be as well. Mars is also, keep in mind, connected with accidents. So if an accident takes place, this might be a time where it might severely hamper your future, your destiny, where you feel your mission and purposes at this time. Another thing is that Mars is connected with the vitality and energy. It has some association with it. The Sun can as well, and also the ascendant. Mars can have some connection with our, or not just our driving motivation, but our energy, our vitality. And the thing is, you might not feel like you have that energy and drive to go after your future at this time, and where you need to or developing the qualities that need to be developed. Say again, if we go back to Transit North Node, Scorpio could be something with guile, or being able to have being resourceful, having passion when you're doing things, being able to deal with crisis and upheavals. And you might not really have that vitality and energy to be doing that at this point in time. And another thing too, as far as this transit goes, now Mars is also connected with anger, and it might be a time where you have to be careful because there may be a greater propensity at this time for your anger, acrimonious behavior may challenge where you need to go toward, what you may be learning and aspiring to be, your future, your destiny, that mission and purpose at this time. Those things may be, they may be challenged if you have an angry moment, especially if it's a place where you might really, there's potential to really jeopardize something important. Say if it's at your job, if it's in your home, and you're exhibiting some kind of angry outburst in front of family members. This is where you have to be be careful at this time, especially if you're somebody that is somewhat a servant person to begin with, and there's something in the chart that may suggest or indicate that. Now, another thing too is that Mars is connected with courage and fortitude. Maybe you're lacking the fortitude or courage to go after your future at this time, to go where you feel you may be directed toward at this point in time. It may be where maybe you're living, could be if you're living somewhat timidly. It might be even harder at this time to really move forward. And I mean, especially if your chart is such where you're fairly set in what you want, such as a dominant fixed chart, or like say having a strong Taurus element in the chart. You might be set where you feel somewhat comfortable and complacent, and if you have this transit, it may be harder to really get that that fortitude, that courage, that drive to go after the future and move forward at this time. Mars could also be connected with just injuries in general. If the natal Mars is in Gemini, for example, it could be something, the arms, the hands, shoulders, nerves, something like that might derail you in terms of moving ahead, going after your future at this time. Mars is also connected with surgery in isolated cases. If there is some surgery, of course, naturally surgery may inhibit one's progress, one's future, what you're aspiring to be, because often surgery will limit something, that could be the the energy in general, or something connected with the body part that had been operated on. If it's of course if it's some surgery on the leg, there might be a pretty strong recovery period, or extensive recovery period, or on the arm, something. And virtually almost all surgeries, I believe, would hold somebody up in terms of what they need to be doing if they're trying to make some progress in their life and move ahead. Hold on a moment, people. And Mars is also connected with impulsiveness and impatience, and it may be, just be wary of, impulsive actions at this time. Might derail you in terms of your future, your destiny. If there's especially something in anger, maybe I would say could be an example, or making some kind of decision, abruptly without really thinking it over, being upset. If you're upset or exasperated at something, and oh no, I don't want this opportunity. You should have talked to me about this sooner, and then hang up on the person or end the conversation. Then later on, maybe thinking, well, why didn't I capitalize on this? And so it could be to the detriment. And impatience. Mars, of course, known for impatience. It can be, you might be impatient in terms of just making progress and moving forward at the time of this transit. Doesn't mean you won't be able to, but you might just feel like things aren't moving fast enough in terms of going forward, attaining your future, your destiny at this time. Now, another way this transit may manifest is that qualities that may need to be developed may conflict with taking action with something. Now, let's say, for example, if the transit North Node is in Aries in the 11th house, it could be taking some kind of action or initiative. I mean, this is Aries, and in some kind of goal or aspiration, which is the 11th house. Or it could be showing some kind of courage or fortitude for a friend, such as standing up for a friend, willing to fight for a friend at this time. Also, issues that may need to be confronted and addressed may challenge matters, as far as being where you might be driven and motivated toward at this time. It might be, well, let's say, for example, within transit North Node is in Scorpio in the 12th house, going back to that example, it could be perhaps controlling, maybe it could be a controlling mental illness in some isolated cases, some obsessive compulsive issue. It could be dealing with, again, some surreptitious hidden enemy, just somebody that's very manipulative. It could be somebody that's posing as a friend and is actually an enemy in disguise. Also, too, where one's future lies may conflict with what, as far as what you want to expend your physical energy on at this time. Let's say, for example, if the transit North Node is in Aquarius in the 3rd house, it could be expressing altruism and selflessness, which is Aquarius, with neighbors, siblings, cousins, which of course is connected with the 3rd house. At this time as well, you might not have, it might feel like you don't have that energy and enthusiasm, which is Mars, to learn in what you're aspiring to be at this point in time. And say if it's North Node and some Capricorn in the 4th house, it could be gaining structure and discipline in the home, or maybe trying to do something. As far as more respect, taking care of being more responsible in home-related matters, people you're close to home with, the less dominant parent, which is the mother, as some examples. But anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.